Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to learn about how to add Google Maps to your Android application. So in some cases you might have to develop some application wherein you need Google Maps in your application. So let's say that you have to make a taxi booking application like Uber, then you do need to have Google Maps in your Android applications. So in this lecture we are going to learn exactly how to add maps to your application. So what we will do is that we will start a brand new Android Studio project, and let's name this thing as, let's say, location app, and click next. Select the API level to be 15, click next, and in here what you could do is that you could select the Google Maps activity instead of choosing the plain empty activity. Click next, click finish, and we are basically good to go. So there are a lot of complex things which you could do with maps, but here what we will do is that we will learn some simple concepts, that is how to basically go ahead and obtain the API key for your map and how to add it to your application. So whenever you need to get an access to the Google Maps, you are provided with a security key which you are going to use to authenticate your application so that nobody except you could gain access to those maps. So this section is actually going to be just a plain basic setup section wherein we will learn how to set up maps in your application. Okay, so once the application is up and running, you will be able to see these two things. The first thing is obviously going to be the activity, and the next one is going to be the XML file. So here, if you go to the main activity, which is the maps activity in this case, you will be able to see a method which is called as the onMapReady method. And what this method actually does is that it basically initializes your map when the map actually appears in your activity. So right now, as you could see, this line right here is nothing but it's actually the latitude and longitude position of the actual coordinates where the pointer is going to be placed on your map. So your map is going to have a pointer which is going to point at a particular position, and this is the position which is currently pointing to it. So in the upcoming lectures we will be learning how to basically go ahead and change these. But for now, the most important thing which you need to understand is that you are provided with these credentials right over here. So these are unique credentials provided only for you so as to go ahead and gain access to the API key. So as you could see here, there is a provision where you could enter your API key, but even before adding your API key, you do need to have an API key. So the next question is how to basically go ahead and get an API key. So for that purpose, what you need to do is that you need to go to this URL, which is console.developers.google.com/API/library. So you must have a Google account before you could use the Google Maps API. So once you're into this URL, what you need to do is that you need to select this option which says Google Maps Android API. So simply click on that and click yes, accept. And here what you need to do is that you need to create a project. Click on create a project button, and let's name this project as, let's say, my project itself. Hit create, and it's actually going to create a new project for you. So you can actually go ahead and have multiple projects for each of your applications. Okay, so now once this thing is done, what you need to do is that you need to go and click enable. So this is actually going to enable the API key. And after this, you need to create on this create credentials option. Now, depending upon when you're watching this tutorial, the user interface might be changed a little bit. So the steps are exactly the same, but the user interface which you are looking at might be a little bit different. Okay, so once this thing is done, you need to select the Google Maps Android API. And here you need to actually select the API key option. And here, once you have selected this, you have to select Android apps. And here it's actually going to ask you to add package name and fingerprint. So simply click this option, and here you have to paste in the package name, and here you have to specify the SHA-1 certificate fingerprint. So if you go back to the XML file, as you could see, this thing right here is nothing but it's actually your fingerprint. So you simply need to copy this, go back over here, paste the certificate over here, or the certificate fingerprint, and this is the package name right here. So you basically have to copy the package name, go back here and paste the package name over here. And now once you have copied these things successfully, you simply need to hit create. And as you could see, it has generated the API key for you. So you simply need to copy this API key, hit close, and make sure that your API key is enabled. So once this thing is done, what you could do is that you could simply minimize this for a moment, and you could go ahead and paste your API key over here. So once you're done pasting your API key, the next thing which we need to do is that you need to test if your application works correctly on your device. So I'm going to simply save the code, and I'm going to run this application on my device and see if this thing works. Now you do need to make sure that your device is connected to the internet, or else the Google Maps won't be loaded up in your activity. So as you could see, the application is up and running, and this is what I'm able to see on my screen. So currently the map is visible and it's actually pointing to Australia's location. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys were able to understand how to add an API key to your application so that your application is able to load up Google Maps. So in the next lecture, what we will do is that we will learn how to set up a particular position in this application so that instead of Australia, it points to the location which we desire. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.